Hey Pugh crew, welcome back. We are here just inside of Universal Studios during one of the busiest times of the year, and these crowds have us seeking refuge. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to talk about some of our favorite places to go to try to get away from the crowds when you just need a break. Now, obviously the best place to go would just be your hotel room, but that's not always feasible?
Yeah, sometimes you don't have time, like maybe you're only here for 1 or 2 days, or you don't want to walk all the way back to your room because you just need a few minutes to collect yourself and stop hyperventilating because people are shoulder checking you every 3 seconds. So we're going to show you some of our favorite places here in studios.
So our first one is actually back here at the New York City Library. If you can't find it, you just keep walking straight. Like when you walk into Universal Studios, if you just walk straight, it's the building all the way past like the Rip Ride Rocket. So with the Rip Ride Rocket being right here, it's not necessarily the quietest area, but it's definitely like there's nobody back here with us right now, and it's extremely busy in the parks.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked at how few people are back here right now because it is a great place to come and sit down. They have like these stairs so you can come and bring some food and enjoy that. It is a fantastic place to just sit down and watch the roller coaster go by and hang out for a little bit.
So she was talking about food and being able to sit back here and eat some food because of the stairs, and it works out perfectly because the exit for the tribute store, which they now have almost year-round for different events, it's right here, and they always have some really good treats in there. So you can just bring that stuff out here, sit right here, watch people go by and scream on the Rip Ride Rocket like she was talking about. And like this is one of our favorites because even when it's really busy, as you can see, nobody's back here. So of course, after talking about the treats in the tribute store, I couldn't help but get one, so yeah.
Tyler got the Bananas Foster macaron. He's the one eating it because I'm not a huge fan of banana, but he says it's really good.
It's good. It's awesome.
Looked nice. We had another one of the macarons the other day. It was really good, so the treats inside the tribute store are pretty much never gonna let you down.
But our next little area is actually over here in the New York area, for lack of a better word, and it is actually Sting Alley, and we're gonna head over there right now.
Sting Alley is just past Annie Ann's. It's also right across from the arcade, and you're never really gonna find it completely empty because it's in such a busy area of the parks. It's also a cut through to get close to Transformers. There are some decent places to sit on some stoops and things like that, but the reason that we really love Sting Alley is because it's always shady. There's some really tall buildings in here, so if you get overheated and just need to hang out for a few minutes, this is the place to come.
As we continue making our way around the parks, the next area that we go to escape the crowds is right here in San Francisco. And you may be thinking like, hey, this is really narrow, it gets really crowded right here, but we're not talking about right out here in front. We actually have a spot behind Lombard's.
A lot of people think that all of this seating over here is reserved for the Lombard's restaurant, and that's just not the case. Most of it is, but there's like a little fence that sections off where anyone can just come and hang out versus the seats that are reserved for the restaurant. Also, you can typically get down to the lower level of the dock. They have it closed off right now for Mardi Gras because there are some food tents right here, but you can get down there and there are some benches and you can stand and hang out by the water. It's a really nice, peaceful place to hang out in Universal Studios.
So as you can see, the only people behind us are team members. We're over here alone. And as far as like going down there, I will say this about this place, like if it's a really hot day, this isn't a great place to be.
Yeah.
Especially in the mornings. Like afternoon, you start getting some shade, but in the mornings, it's like in direct sunlight.
Yeah, especially in the lower level of that dock, you'll just
brutal.
sit there
like,
and bake.
Yeah, like up here you can get in shade, but on that lower dock, yeah, you'll sit there and bake. So like in the afternoon, if it's really hot, it's more of a place to go to get out of the heat in the afternoon. We can't be in this area of the park without mentioning what we think is kind of a hidden gem. So the San Francisco Bakery has some really good sandwiches. Like we get one quite often.
Yeah, and they rarely ever have a line because it's like a quick service restaurant.
Yeah.
You have to walk into the building, but they have most of the sandwiches like pre-made, and they just kind of like heat them up and give them to you. So you can get in and out of there really, really quickly, and it is a good lunch. San Francisco Pastry Company is also a place that serves breakfast. Most of the food locations here in the parks don't open until at least 10:30, whereas this is one of the places that you can get breakfast. We get asked that question all of the time, and they do have some really good options.
So when we think about getting away from the crowds, we just always think of the Wizarding World. There is never anybody in there, so we're about to head into Diagon Alley and show you how to get away from the crowds in there. Everybody knows to get away from the crowds, all you do is stand right in the middle of Diagon Alley. You wait for the dragon to make a noise, and everybody just scatters. Nobody lifts up their phone, tries to record. It doesn't get crazy in here at all.
Obviously, that was a joke. The Wizarding World, both sides of it are always insane.
Yeah.
But there is somewhere over here in Diagon Alley where you can get away from the crowds for a little bit, and that is in Nocturne Alley.
Take this with a grain of salt in a way. People know about Nocturne Alley, so it's not like it's completely empty like some of the other places we've talked about. But as far as like in comparison, yeah, it's totally different. You can walk through here and not touch anybody. I mean, in less busy times of the year, you may not see another person in there. I mean, there's been plenty of times that we've walked through Nocturne Alley and not seen another person. But one of the great things about this is if it's a hot day, you know how Anna said that
Sting Alley.
Sting Alley, yeah. She said that was great because of the tall buildings. Forget tall buildings, let's just go into a cave.
Yeah, Nocturne Alley is cold and dark, so pair that with a frozen butterbeer, and it is a great way to cool off. But also, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm wearing a rain jacket today because there is rain in the forecast. And the great thing about Nocturne Alley compared to the other places that we've talked about is that it's inside. So if it's supposed to rain while you're over here in Diagon Alley, this is the perfect place to hide out for a little bit.
Sometimes it's also good to know how to get out of there. We always take like the back exit because I think a lot of people just assume that there's only one entrance and exit to Diagon Alley, so it gets crazy over there. So when it's really busy, we just take this back entrance, or we sometimes go in this way as well.
I'm not gonna lie, as somebody who has a high propensity for sunburns, I really appreciate the darkness in Nocturne Alley, but we're gonna go ahead and make our way over the bridge because our next area is in Springfield. We had to make a little bit of a pit stop for a snack. There wasn't any line. We really didn't have a choice.
Between the heat and Anna back here scrounging on it, I hope it makes it to our next location. How bad is it? How bad is it? It looks like it kind of survived.
It's not that melted. It's okay. We're going to have to eat this quickly, though.
Okay, so that Ube Bubble Waffle, what would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as taste?
As far as taste goes, that is a 10 out of 10.
It's really good.
It is fantastic. That's one of my favorite things I've ever had here at the parks.
Okay, and so as far as messiness, 1 out of 10, what would you give it?
I would also give it a 10.
It's a perfect score.
Absolutely everywhere. Thankfully, I had some wet wipes in my bag to clean up with.
I probably got it all over me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't even look.
I feel like I'm covered in it, but it was worth it.
So if you haven't figured it out by now, we are just back here behind Duff Brewery. I don't think people realize how many seats are actually back here, and there's hardly ever anyone like back here. Yeah.
People don't realize that there are tables at all because you can't see them from the road in Springfield. But this is kind of similar to the dock by Lombard's as far as the sun goes. There's not really anything to shade you very well, so it's not a place to cool off, but it does have some awesome views of the lagoon. There's actually a nice breeze here today, so it doesn't feel that bad sitting over here. And this spot is shockingly calm. Like, when you think of a theme park, you don't think of calm. You think of like screaming kids, loud music, roller coasters, and just a bunch of excitement. But it is fairly calm over here by the lagoon, so this is a great place to just kind of get away from everything for a little bit.
Okay, so there are a couple more places on our list, and we're just gonna keep making this circle around here. The next one is over here, sort of close to the kids zone, so we're not too far away.
did not know that they had some Mardi Gras food over here at the Kids Zone Pizza Company. We're definitely gonna have to try both of these.
So y'all may notice a theme. We just sit here and eat all the time during our vlogs, but that's okay. I'm really excited about this. I remember them talking about the pizza fries. It even has it in quotations, but yeah, let's go check these out. Thank you so much.
This kind of worked out perfectly because this area back by the pizza zone is exactly where we were talking about to get away from crowds. As you can tell, most of these tables behind me are completely empty, and it is a great place to grab a snack and hang out. Speaking of snacks, that is fantastic. I don't really know what I was expecting with the chorizo sandwich, but it is so good. There's a lot of flavor in here. It's a little bit spicy, just so well balanced.
Your napkin blew away. So the pizza fries are one that I've been excited about, but I don't think Anna so much. There's some things on there that she's not gonna be a fan of, but yeah, let's try that. You didn't really get anything on that?
It's the ketchup that I was afraid I wouldn't like, so I just wanted to try a little bit of the sauce. It's not too bad, but it does have some of that tang in it. There are actually several places back here in the kids zone where you can get away from people, not just at the pizza company. They also have the tables over by animal actors. Yeah. That's a great place in those covered pavilions. And people just kind of forget that this area of the park exists altogether because other than E.T., there's not much to really do and see back here. So it's a great way to avoid the crowds.
So right across the street from that kids zone, you do have Central Park. You've heard us talk about this a lot if you are familiar with the channel, because we're normally just over here getting crepes, but if you come back behind like the crepes where it sort of leads into, and it's the reason that it's called Central Park Crepes, you come into Central Park and there is hardly ever anybody back here.
Now, part of this area is a smoking area, but it's a very, very small portion, so people should not be smoking in the vast majority of this.
Yeah, they shouldn't be, but what we've learned about Universal is people just try to smoke everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. There also are a few places to sit down, like the bench that we're sitting on right now.
It's a nice one.
There are also some stairs that you can take a seat on, and this is where you'll come for the Lagoon show, like the cinematic celebration show. This is where you will come to view that.
We would guess one of the things that keeps this from being pretty crowded most of the time is there's just nothing really to do. Yeah, the train from Back to the Future is right over here, and like I said, Central Park Crepes is right there, but it's like on the outside of this area, so it's not really in here. A lot of people just use this as like a cut through, but we love it because it's like there's a lot of greenery. Like this is one of the only places where there's a ton of trees. You can get some shade, there's a lot of pretty flowers, and like we said, you have some awesome views of the lagoon. That's something that I find common with like some of the areas that we've talked about. If you get close to the lagoon, you're probably away from the crowd.
There's actually one more place here in Universal Studios that we want to talk about as far as getting away from the crowds, and this is actually brand new. This is something that Universal just unveiled in this last week. Universal just announced a new quiet room for people that experience sensory overload. Now, this room is on a first come, first served basis, and parties are allowed to spend 30 minutes in this room to allow individuals to de-stress for a little bit. If you're curious where this room is, it's actually located at the first aid station at the very front of Universal Studios.
Yeah, so right when you walk through the turnstiles to get into the parks, if you just take an immediate right, you'll find it over there.
We're actually gonna head over there and see if they'll let us check it out today. So when we walked into First Aid, the quiet room was actually in use, which is fantastic. We love seeing that, and we're so happy that the people who need something like that are aware that it exists. And it's also a great move by Universal because the theme parks are such a loud and overwhelming place, and there is such a need for something like that.
Yeah, but with that, we are going to end today's video. Leave us a comment in the comment section and let us know, where do you go to get away from the crowds?
If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. You can hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell notification so you get an alert every time we post a new video.
Thanks for watching.